Welcome to the Hayes Great Podcast. I'm your host, BT, coming to you live. And guess what, guys? I have a treat with you guys today. I've been waiting on this interview for a very long time, and I have none other than one of my dogs, man. I got pictures of him on my walls. We were ride or die together, man. And this brother, man, he really made a difference in my life. When I was in my 20s, man, I'm coming to the Navy, still trying to figure this thing out. So I have none other than with you than my brother from another Vegas, Mr. Kory Scott.
What's
He is
up?
a what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Welcome to the show, man. We're in the scuttlebutt. Let's kick it for a little bit, man.
All
So I
right.
want you to tell the audience out there what was your rate and rank when you got out.
When I was in the Navy, when I got out, my rate was PH3, was photographer's mate, third class. I got my air warfare pin before I got out. I served in the U.S. Navy for 5 years, uh, between November 13, 1997 to April 17, 2003.
Okay,
Yep.
man, let's get into that, man. So what is that? I mean, my wife, I was talking to my spouse about you and going over the notes, man, and she was shocked. She said they have photographers mates. So tell the audience, man, why? I mean, most people didn't even know the Navy had a photographer's mate. They think about boatswain mates, they
Right.
think about quartermasters. They think about all these different, like airplane pilots, watching Top Gun, you name it. Photographers mate.
Right. The reason why I chose that, I love the art form of it. I've always loved pictures, but my favorite pictures are the candid pictures where, it's easy to pose for a picture, but it looks more authentic when you see someone just doing their daily lives, interacting with their children or animals or whatever. And I've always been captivated with those pictures. It didn't quite work out as a career as I expected, but I love the experience. I love the lives that I touched, the people that, seeing the smiles on people's faces when you're coming, to shoot them. They're the appreciation that I got when I was out in the field. I didn't really like working in the office that much, but being out there with the camera, it was fun.
So what is a day in the life of a photographer's mate?
Well, preparation is important because there's times where I went on a photo shoot on the Kitty Hawk, and I had to interview. I think I had to take a grip and grin of maybe about 25 people. I think I got to 23, and my film ran out.
Oh,
So it's the little things on that job you really have to pay attention to. You constantly got to be thinking of lighting, angles. It got this thing called a rule of thirds where a person, see if I can really explain it. Say like you got your main object of the picture, and you got certain things that'll lead up to the main thing you're shooting. Like it could be a ladder, or a street, or whatever. You know, you want to try to get things to look uniform in the picture. You know,
right.
and you want to make sure that when you're taking a picture of somebody that their eyes aren't closed. 'Cause, that flash gets in their eyes can be closed. So what most photographers will do, they'll do like a continuous uh, flash where they're constantly shooting the same picture over and over, trying to find the best one. That
Okay.
way, you get it. Nothing's perfect, but you get pretty close if you
Did
do
did
what you have to do.
did you have to go to A school for that?
At first, I actually studied into the rate. I was a supply storekeeper at first. I was an undesignated airman in the supply division, S8, and I studied to get into photography. I cross rated in, and then I worked with this guy named, well, he was running it once I got in, Chief Rodney Sato. And he was the one that got me into the photography A school, and I went to Fort Meade, Maryland after my time with the Kitty Hawk was up. I was there for about 3 months. After that, I went over to Yokosuka, Japan. Not Yokosuka, Japan, but Pearl Harbor, Hawaii.
Okay.
Yokosuka, Japan was our. We started in San Diego. We went over to Japan, but yeah, all in all, about three duty stations altogether. But my last one was Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. I was at Fleet Imaging Center for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Yep.
So, question for you, because I met you on the Kitty Hawk, right?
Right.
So you rode the Kitty Hawk from San Diego over to Japan, right?
That's right.
Okay, because I couldn't remember. I know we met up. I think we met up at the Chaplain, right?
Yep.
Through church service. And so I was like, okay. I thought you was part. I thought you had came over there with us. I thought you was part of. You had already got stationed in Japan, but I'm
Well,
listening to you. I did not know
yeah, that's
that.
the thing. When I was in boot camp, right before we got out, they gave us an overseas screener, which kind of surprised me because I thought it was going to be on American soil. But your orders can change at any time. So they took about 5 of us, and God bless him. I don't know where he's at. He served with me on the Kitty Hawk for a brief time. His last name was Gaines. He
Uh-huh.
wanted to be stationed in San Diego, you know, and he was one of the guys that came with me to be selected for this overseas screen. And so he's like, "What's this overseas screen? I'm supposed to be going to San Diego," and then he's mad, and this is other dude by him. I forgot his last name. He's laughing. He's like, "It's not funny, man. It's not funny, brother." He's going off, and dude just told me, "You signed the contract. The orders can change at any time." It was what it was. I wasn't really tripping because I wanted to go overseas anyway. I wanted to see different things, so it didn't really bother me. I was more excited than anything, you know. But he was going through it. But he served on the Kitty Hawk with us for like 2 years.
Wow.
Cool dude. Gaines was his last name. Real cool dude.
I don't
Yep.
think I remember him. So what was Japan like? So you go to Hawaii. So recap. So I went right to Japan.
Right.
So I was stationed on board the USS Independence
Right.
in December 1997. So I know we met y'all in the summertime of '98.
Yep.
So what was that experience like to you going from
What?
San Diego? You're in Pearl Harbor. We do this cross deck,
Right.
and now you guys are riding the Kitty Hawk right back to Japan. What was your Japan time like, man?
Okay. My time in Japan, it was like a mixed bag. Like meeting
Okay.
you, being with Jason, Jay Swade, Kai Winfield, people like that welcomed me. You know, it made me feel cool. I mean, it's cool when you're around people that want you around, that respect you for how you are or whatever. Anyway, it was a mix. Like I would meet cool people, I would meet antisocial people, some racist people, you know. And over in Japan, what threw me for a loop in Japan, out there in the public, it's certain places in Japan where it didn't matter if you was black, white, or whatever. If you was an American, they wasn't helping you. I went to a nightclub where they was playing Notorious B.I.G. and it said no Americans allowed. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on right here? Oh, really? You know it's on the radio?
Oh my god.
But
When did
yeah,
when,
all
when did
right.
you when did you leave Japan?
I left Japan around, I believe, August of 2001. Yep.
Okay, so you left. I think you left after I did.
Yep. A little bit after you.
Yeah, because I
Yep.
left in December 2000. It had to be 2000. Yeah, I think it's December 2000.
Yeah, I remember. You don't know this, but I went. I didn't know you was leaving. I went by your room in Asugi. Your
Uh-huh.
old roommate, I forgot, Latino dude. I forgot his name.
UHAS?
Yeah, and he had told me you had left. I'm like, what? I didn't even know you was gone.
Oh, man, I tell you what, man, I had a good time in Japan. I cried. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I hear you.
I wanted to stay in Japan so much. And I tell you why, man. You guys are some good dudes, man. You again, Corey, Taylor, and I'm gonna be honest with you. My rate was sucking back then because I was an undesignated airman and I was getting TAD everywhere.
Okay.
However, I found solace and I found comfort, man, because I'm just a young kid, sheltered, coming out of Reedsville, North Carolina,
Right.
and I'm meeting you. I'm meeting Jason. I'm meeting you guys, brothers, man, and you guys were like a piece of home away from home because I struggled. And meeting you guys was like, okay, I'm struggling trying to figure this whole Navy thing out. Uniform, what I'm gonna do, girls, because I was not exposed to that. Meet You Brothers, man, and we would go to
Right.
church with Chaplain Johnson and International Christian Ministries and Sugi outside the gate, and you guys were my anchor. And so you guys were imparting seeds in my life, and so I was like, man, I am forever indebted to you guys, man, and just humbled and grateful. Looking back, how I would
Likewise.
turn out. Yeah, y'all planted that seed. I didn't always act like it, and I was a sailor for many times in my Navy career, but I had that seed when I was struggling to go back to you and Jason and Chaplain Johnson in the church service and Bible study, and listening to you talk about Church of God in Christ. And I tell you what, I got a surprise for you. You don't realize that when I became a minister, guess when I came into ministry as
What?
Kojic.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah,
That is cool.
yep. I came into Kojic because I was laughing. I thought about you when I got stationed in California. I thought about you. I was like, hey, I'm at Morningstar Church of God in Christ in Oxnard, California, and I'm coming in as a minister under the Church of God, under Kojic. And I said,
That's
shout out to
cool.
Kory.
That's cool. That's real cool.
Yeah, man. So, what else about Japan? Anything, any special thing about it? Life,
I
sea
I had
stories
this.
on the ship.
Yeah, I had this cool girl that I hung with. Her name was Chia. Real nice woman. We just had our differences. I was trying to convert her to Christianity. It just didn't work out, you know. But she's a sweetheart, you know. She'll always have a place in my heart. Very sweet woman, very down to earth, you know. She's
Right.
real cool. And the club scene, you know, I really didn't adapt to the clubs, and I guess I was too square for the clubs or whatever. It's like certain people just didn't dig me, you know, and it was certain women I thought it was going to turn into something, and they lose interest. You know, it was just a mixed bag. A lot of times where if I wasn't around you or Winfield or Sims, I
Oh,
was pretty much by myself, you know.
I forgot about Winfield.
And you know, I would go to the clubs, but I never really fit into the club scene. It just didn't happen for me. You know, it was almost like I didn't belong there sometimes. You know?
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, man. I think that you're right. Japan has a unique club scene.
Yeah.
What was there? What clubs you hit up?
It was some clubs in Rapungi. I don't know what the names of them are. Oh, you reminded me. There was this one. I'm so mad at myself. I need to learn Spanish. Anyway, I had the story for you. I never told you this. There was this Latina woman, and she saw me, and she was like, "Espanol," you know, like you speak Spanish, and we couldn't understand each other past that, right?
Right.
She's dancing with another guy, looking directly at me, and I'm like, "Ah!" I felt so bad. I was like, "Ah!" I was like, "God, if there's any time you can help me speak in tongues, it's right now."
Oh man, he said speaking tongues. Because he trying to holler not for a healing, but he trying to
But you know what? It just wasn't meant to be,
right.
you know. But I've had a mixed bag, man. You know, the thing I loved about Japan is how Americanized and as the Americanized part of it, but the traditional part. I love the traditional Japan. I love the architecture, the buildings, and I just love their whole setup. And that what's it called? The beepo, yashoba, whatever it's called, where you get the beef bowls.
Oh, Yakisoba. I forgot the name
That
of it.
place right
Yo,
there.
Yoshinoya. Yoshinoya.
Yeah, that place right there. That place right there. I love going over there. They had one out here in Vegas, but it closed down.
Hey, you better tell them, Corey. They don't know about that
Yeah,
Yoshinoya beef
they
bowl.
tripping. Yep, that place right there. Couple of
Man.
times, I
Mm.
almost got ran over. I almost got ran over by a motorcycle. Going, and like I'm not gonna put Japanese drivers down, but some of these drivers out there, you really got to watch yourself. And then you had the bozos. They take over the whole street and their motorcycles revving them up. Oh, this one dude, I think I made a brief friendship with one of the triads. I was at one of those clubs across the street.
Uh huh.
He was dressed in all black. He had welcomed me to come drink with him. He got drunk and passed out, and I just bounced. But he was cool though. He was real cool.
Oh man, I forgot you used to come down when you were in Japan. When I was at Suki Base, you come out hang out with us.
Yeah, I love going over there. Yep.
I forgot, man.
I remember the Suki Air Show.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, that place was loaded with people during that time from all over the place.
I forgot about that, man. I forgot they used to come. Used to you and y'all used to come down and hang out with us and at Suki for a while. While
Yeah,
in port, just kind of get off. We used to break you over and say that way you can get off the ship a little bit.
yeah, because being on that ship, it takes its toll on you. Oh, there was this one particular time I needed to kick it with either you or Jason, probably both of y'all. I messed up bad on the photography job. I was doing the front desk, and they have this board where we write the jobs that's coming up. I check the board. I'm supposed to check the board and either take the job or have someone in the lab know about it so they could take the job. This particular job was for an admiral, and I saw the job, but I forgot to tell anybody about it. It was on the board. I put it in the schedule on the computer. I was there to entry. I get this phone call. This dude's giving me the blues. Where the F is my photographer at? And this dude, Petty Officer Yoder, he got the phone. He got chewed out. He's like, "Thank you, Kory," sarcastically. Then it went up to the chief. He got chewed out. His commanding officer, Ensign Bean, chewed him out. It came right back to me. Chief
Oh,
Sato took me in the back room, had me stand at parade rest, and was just digging into me bad, dude. Just like you're pissing me off.
oh
So, and this was on a Friday. So
man.
I was so upset after that day. I didn't want to see that boat. I didn't want to see the base. I'm like, I'm going to this Asugi. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, man. And we were always glad to have you, man. We had a lot of fun, man. So,
Yeah.
question for you. So, while you were in, what was your struggles, man? I think that we always, you know, the
The
military is not easy.
struggles.
Yeah,
See, the struggles with me. People always complain about the way I walk. It was like with most people, I was never good enough. It was always something. Why is he act like that? Why is he? It's like, with the exception of you and Sims and Winfield, like I said, I didn't really have too many people I hung with. I've been pretty much alone in my whole life. So I've had to adapt a way of being cool by myself. It was times where I was trying to, when I first got there, I was trying to force it. I was trying to just link up with anybody just about who I thought was cool, but most of them weren't trying to hang with me. They weren't feeling me. So most of the dudes around there, like, I think that's just in my head. Most women, they gravitated to the street guys,
right,
you know. And if you wasn't that, it's like they weren't trying to feel you. They weren't trying to hear you.
right.
And I'm not gonna be something that I'm not.
Can't do it.
I'm not gonna front. I'm not gonna fake. You either did me or you don't. You know.
Did you What was it like for you? Like I know Japan. Did you try to date some sisters, or was it strictly Japanese?
It was a couple of it was this one girl I was trying to talk to on the kitty hop, and I'm not trying to put black women down. Black women are beautiful, but some black women, it's like the it's like they have a tendency to be too much,
Right.
you know. Not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm trying to talk to the sister on the boat, and she's like, "Do I know you?" And I'm like, "No." I was like, "Then why?" And then she's like, "Then why are you talking to me then?" So I came with something smooth, like, "Cool, it's your loss."
So, for those that don't know, to my audience out there, everybody listening, and Corey can tell you, that Japan, when you're over in Japan, it's not a lot of sisters.
Right.
And so, obviously you're in a foreign country, and on the ship, the ratio was what is it, Corey? Maybe what, uh, 40, 50 guys to one. I'm probably about 150 guys to one on an aircraft carrier.
something like that. Most of us was men. It was a couple of women, but here's the thing, and this is just me. This is just my personal take on it. When we go out to sea, and the women knew that they was the only women on the boat, they get so big headed. I saw this girl full of blackheads walking around switching like she was like execute them. You know what I'm saying? What you doing? But it is what it is. But some of the girls that were fives were like tens when we was out the port, you know. But we go to one of these countries or whatnot, you know. I've heard stories where we go to Australia or Pattaya Beach, Thailand, and some of these girls is by themselves, you know. It was just a crazy time. Some of the dudes, they had their own relationships on the boat and they go out off the boat as partners or whatever. It was just a crazy time, you know, but it was a couple of cool, respectful women on the boat, whether they was a sister, white, whatever. It was a couple of cool women I met. You like Maggie. I talked to her from time to time on the boat, on the phone, on off of Facebook or whatever, you
Right.
know, and a couple of times I saw Chaplain Johnson on Instagram. You know, it was just a couple of cool, down to earth people. I don't know where she's at, but I don't even remember her first name, but her last name was Baker. She was cool too. She was in the church, you know, on the boat, you know, but she was real down to earth, always smiling. You know, it was just some real cool women that when you came around them, they had this uplifting type of presence, you know.
Oh yeah, I remember. Man, Corey, you are taking me back, man. I forgot about Baker, man.
Yep.
Real cool sister, man. A
I
big,
was
big.
mad one day, and she came to me. She's like, "Hi, Scott," smiling. I forgot what I was mad about. I'm like, "Hey."
Yeah, man, you did took me back, man. Real cool, man. I remember seeing Baker when we used to go to service on Sundays.
Yep,
We used to
she
go to
was
chapel.
real
Baker would
cool.
always be there, man.
Yep.
Um, struggle. You talking about the struggle? Let me pivot. I get so excited about Japan and talking about that stuff, man. I get excited, man. You take me down memory lane. How did you manage those struggles, man? I was happy. Number one
Oh,
for
I'm
your
glad you said that. How I managed the struggles?
yes, big time, man.
Comedy. Comedy is my therapy. I've been wanting to laugh ever since I was a little kid because these struggles I've had came long before the Kitty Hawk ever existed, long before the Navy. I've been struggling with stuff like this ever since grade school, elementary school. You know, from the jump, I knew that I was different. From the jump, just with the way the kids gravitated around me, you know. I've been a loner for most of my life, even with my brothers. You know, my brothers are way more popular than me as far as with the girls, just with classmates or whatever. But for the most part, you know, I would be teased, or whatever, even through my adult life, you know, not as much, but I just got to the point where I was like, you know what? I gotta be me.
True,
And if you did me, so be it. I mean, I went through I still go through depression to this day, you know, but comedy gets me through. I love to laugh. And I just love to be around down to earth, respectable people. You know,
definitely, definitely.
the
Let me
main thing I've wanted was in my life. I mean, everybody. I mean, you want good money or whatever like that to sustain your life.
oh,
But
definitely,
one of the main things I want in my life is peace of mind, man. You got to have peace of mind.
definitely,
You have to. Yeah.
definitely.
You
So
know.
let me ask you a question, man. You talked about you said, and I love your transparency, Corey, that you dealt with it before the military.
Yeah.
Did you think that okay, look, my brothers are more popular than me, I'm a loner. I've got these issues that I need to deal with. Did you think that okay, I'm joining the military, I can recreate myself
Yes.
and I
I
can become somebody that my old self and become somebody that I've always wanted to be.
yes. I felt that the military would help me get through that. The one thing I do love about the military was the bonds that I made, the experiences that I had, and I'm glad that I kept it with my medical record because I knew nothing about Veterans Affairs. I knew nothing about disability compensation. I learned a lot of things when I was right before I was getting ready to come home. They had this transitional class that I don't know if you went through it or whatever, but they had a transitional course that was preparing us to go back to the civilian world. They gave us websites, places to go, things to get us settled back into civilian life. And Veterans Affairs was one of the first places I went when I got home. And I brought in my service record. I started out at like 10%. And then I started digging through my service record more because one thing about the military, they don't tell you the way the medical doctors word things. They word it in a way where you really don't understand it. So there was a lot of things in my service record that I had going on with me that I could have been compensated with as soon as I got out. So it was a lot of studying over the years, seeing what I was qualified for, and by the grace of God, I got it up to 90%. You
Wow.
know,
I would love to bring you back on the show because I'm gonna tell you why. You know, walk me through that process, man. And so about me now. So I work at a hospital, and I work in supply chain at a
right?
hospital. However, I'm part of different organizations, and one of the organizations that I'm part on within my local hospital is I work alongside VetNet.
Okay,
So we in and I had opportunity a week ago to visit in it's a city where I live in. That it's a veterans group, African American veterans group,
I
and
heard
the
of
one
them.
and the one thing they talked about was like understanding the VA disability and things like that, and getting compensated. And to be transparency with you, I didn't have those experience when I walked away from the Navy in 2008. So right now I get 10%,
Right.
and so but also I went right into a hospital and that has an insurance and stuff like that. So I've never really had to use that. So talk to me about that process because I'm just now learning.
Okay, I
Like,
can
oh
tell
man,
you.
I got a VA down the street from my house. I need to
Right,
understand my service
right.
connected disabilities. Talk to
Here's
me
the
about that
thing
process.
with the disability situation. It's a combined disability rating that they do. Like you start at 10%, you
Uh
learn
huh.
other things that go up to 20, 30. Every disability rating, to my understanding, goes by at least 10%. But here's the thing, it's like divided by five. It's like say like you have a combined disability rating of like over maybe like 120%, but you could be rated at 80%. You know, it's weird. And there's certain things, and you got to prove that each disability rating is service connected. It has to be as not all of it. They have certain non-service connected disabilities you can get to where you can get benefits from that. But as far as the service connected, that's where the money comes in. You
Gotcha.
know, and I didn't know what sleep apnea was until 2013. I went to my pulmonary doctor through VA. What really helped me get my ratings up wasn't VA. It was disabled American veterans. There's an office within our VA office that works with veterans too. I went through them, and you know, it got to the point where God has a way of bringing people to you at the right time. On two different occasions, I had doctors in my VA office on North Pecos in Las Vegas. They'd be like, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but like for instance, I have problems with my back. My back has been hurting for years, right?
Right.
And I have the x-rays. Oh, we didn't see nothing wrong. You know why? Because it was an x-ray. They didn't do an MRI. The x-rays only examine your bones. MRIs examine your ligaments, your tendons. So when I got the MRI, then I found out the bulging disc, and I had an annular tear in my lower back. For how long? I don't know. That boosted up my rating. The sleep apnea, I found out. I had a sleep study. I wasn't breathing for almost a minute during the sleep study. I have
Wow.
obstructive sleep apnea that I'm trying to get my weight down so I can reverse the effects of that. Then on top of that, my mental situations, things that happened in my life, even before the military, during the military, I have anxiety disorder, depression, form is a form of PTSD. See, a lot of people think that PTSD is just combat related, but it's not. Anything that's a traumatic experience, it could be a number of things that counts as PTSD. I got an increase on that. So the combined rating got me up to 90%. For a brief time, I was having problems working.
He paused for a second.
Oh, yeah, I lost you.
Okay.
Just just a moment.
Okay, you
I'm gonna get
fine.
back on. Just a moment. I gotta get back to the link. Connect. Oh yeah. I'll get back. Hold on.
Okay. And I can still hear you too. So.
Yeah, but yeah, I was just having problems. It's just you know. But I found out these different things, and it helped me get my rating back up, which is a
Wow.
plus, a huge plus. You know, really was.
And you got and again, you talked about Dave, man. That was on my TikTok channel for the Hayes Great podcast. Somebody mentioned I talked about Dave, man. Tell me about Dave, man. I get letters in mail from him sometimes. I throw some dollars at him when I get a letter from him. Talk to me about Dave, man. What is that?
GAV, Disabled
Yes.
American Vets.
Yes.
Okay, these people right here, I found out about through, like I told you, people have come into my life and told me about other places you can go besides Veterans Affairs. And I'm not here to rat Veterans Affairs, but I've
Okay.
had some bad experiences with them. And there was a dude that works within Veterans Affairs a long time ago, at the old office, and he told me about DAV, you know, and it's another thing you want to do, beware of the veteran service officers. If you get assigned the veteran service officer on your case, make sure that they're on the up and up, because what happened to me, I was assigned a VSO. Hello?
I hear you.
And during this time, he was supposed to be taking my case, but he got assigned to another case. My paperwork ended up in limbo in Reno, which is the main place where our disability paperwork is decided. So I ended up ultimately failing. You know,
Wow.
it was just a mess. You know,
Man, big shout out to Dave, man. Big shout out to Dave, man. And it's kind of funny that tomorrow is Father's Day, and this week is Mental Health Week, man. So again, I appreciate you, you know, having a candid conversation about mental health as well. And I think
yes,
big time. Well, I think one of the hardest things is for a man, listen to you talk, and you talked about depression, and you talked about the things that you were going through, and I think Kory, that men have a hard time dealing with that.
we do.
I
Unfortunately,
yeah, I call it the uncomfortable conversation. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah. Meaning that hey, I ain't got it today. My plate is full. So I really appreciate you, man. So when and why did you get out?
Okay, that part right there. I was trying to stay in. I was, but I was having problems in my command, fleet imaging, and they decided that you know I was having problems remembering things, just different things happening, and it got to the point where they decided not to retain me in military service, so they gave me what was called a terminal leave. I still had about uh, a couple of months left for my service before the active service was up, which was April 17th. So they basically put me on terminal leave. You know, they
Right.
wanted me to just go home right away. You know, I was told by the people I was in my barracks that even though you're on terminal leave, you can stay in these barracks until it's time for you to go home. This officer that I had, he's chewing me out, talking about, you know, he basically wanted me gone or whatever, and I don't want
Right.
to hear about some punk kid that said you can stay in the barracks, just doing me dirty. So It got to the point where they just finally decided to let me stay in the barracks until it's time for me to go home. You know, the way it ended, it was just messed up because I got this is how they did me. They gave me an honorable discharge, but they gave me it under RE4. I did research. RE1 through RE3 is good conduct. Bad conduct is RE4. They gave me the honorable discharge because what they was trying to do, even though I was having my disability problems, they were trying to court martial me. So what I
What?
did, I went to Makalapa Medical Center to get evaluated to see what's going on, and then come to find out that I had attention deficit disorder. So they prescribed me Ritalin, and they was trying to tell my command, let's see if this will help things improve. They
Right.
wasn't trying to hear it, you know. So since they couldn't court martial me, they basically gave me a bad conduct code under honorable discharge. And the reason they did that is so I couldn't re-enlist in either active duty or reserve. I
Wow.
tried to I got in touch with Washington D.C. tried to get them to reverse the decision, and they denied me. So I was like, whatever, you know. So I'm
Wow.
currently under bad conduct code with honorable discharge, which makes no sense.
So
You know,
when did you find that out, man?
I found it out pretty much right away.
Oh,
I
so
mean,
they told
I
you?
really didn't find out until I got out because
Wow.
that was my transitional period, and when I was doing my research, I was like, "How is this bad conduct under honorable?" It got me. I can show you my DD 214. It says honorable RE4 right
That's
now.
that's great.
Kid you not.
I tell you what's funny. So I have conversations, man, and you would think, okay, when you see that back on the discharge, you can't use the VA, you can't get no government job, and I'm listening to you like, man, so they gave you honorable discharge, but they gave you RE code 4, and it almost like it doesn't make sense. It's like, so
Right.
can you use your VA benefits? Can you go like to the
Yes,
VA home
yes. I,
loan?
I, I can use I was using the VA benefits. They just set it up to where I could no longer re-enlist. I could no longer be in the military.
Okay, wow,
They did that to make sure I couldn't come back in. You know.
wow, right. So here's a question: if you could have done longer, would have done longer? And if so,
See, see,
hypothetically,
seeing the
huh,
situation I'm in now, I would have done longer because all the stuff that I'm dealing with at home, with my family, always
right,
needing help, this and that. I would rather have been in a situation where I could just send them money. And because one thing I noticed about life through my years of living, when you become a convenience to people, they have a tendency to not go as hard as they have to for themselves because they're like, well, I got Corey here, you
nugget,
know? And then
nugget,
it's kind of like you become that security blanket for people. But when you are not there and they can't really turn to nobody, it kind of motivates people to do more on their own, you know.
right.
And I didn't come back to be a crutch to people, but unfortunately that's where I'm at right now, and I don't like it.
So, question for you: so you get out in 2003,
Right.
and you're back in Vegas, right?
Right.
What was that adjustment like going from the Navy? Now you're back in Vegas. You get the discharge papers, and you're like, "What the heck?" Talk to me
Right.
about that, man.
It was hard because I was trying to go for photography jobs out here, and it
Right,
wasn't working out. So now I got all this training, and at the time I really didn't know about VA as far as like getting work through VA. So what I started doing unarmed security stuff like that, little ring-stink jobs. But in between that, I started applying for the state of Nevada, city of Henderson, city of North Las Vegas. I even tried to become a Metro police officer at one time. Passed the test, just wasn't picked. I went through many different city and government agencies trying to get employment, and it just wasn't happening. So over the
right,
years, I got into the casinos. It was decent money. I worked at New York for almost 7 years. They wrongfully terminated me. That's another situation in itself. and I proved that they wrongfully terminated me. I sued them for like 13 grand, and then I was supposed to get rehired through the company. Got an interview with MGM right across the street from my old job, which is a MGM property. MGM, New York, New York. It's a whole bunch of properties, you know.
Wow.
So the way they have it set up in Vegas, if you're under brother sister properties, your application follows you. So let's say like
Oh,
right. So when I tried to get hired at the MGM, interview went well. They loved me. They gave me a drug test. I'm like, usually when they do that, they're gonna hire you.
right,
Had nothing in my system, passed the drug test, and they're telling me you should be getting an email in a couple of days or a call or something like that. I get nothing. I call the hiring manager. He's like acting like he don't know who I am. I'm talking in human resources, so I'm looking at my drug test. I call the lab. Then my drug test passed. Yeah, you passed. So I get try to get back in touch with human resources. This crazy lady transfers me to a fax machine. So I'm like, what's going on right now? So I got EEOC involved. They did a 2 year investigation. Come to find out that when I had the settlement agreement for my old job across the street, they called my old job about me. And someone in human resources said that, they didn't even talk about the settlement agreement, because it was a termination, it was wrongful termination
right.
that turned into a settlement agreement. Anyway, they flat out said that I got fired. So it makes it look like I'm lying. And then when the investigator brought up the settlement agreement to cover their butt, they're like they was unaware of it. So now they just killed my job. So after that, I got into the Voc rehab program through VA,
I heard about that.
and for a brief time, it was going well. I went through computer training and stuff like that, you know. But it's just been a struggle. I went through journalism at community college. I'm 6 credits away from my degree. I'm just having problems with the math, you know. And
Right.
then COVID shutdown happened. That threw me back. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, hey, but you're still here. You're still here to fight. I'm looking at you in the on the camera, and you're still here fighting. You're fighting another day, man. And I think you should be congratulated for that one, man. Hey, with the TD Jakes, you should have heard me when you cut my hair. In regards to Samson and the Delilah situation, man. And that's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm very proud of you, Corey. I
Thank
mean,
you.
you are a fighter. Most people would have gave up and thrown the towel, man. That means your blessings coming. So just keep hanging there, man. It's coming.
Thank you.
Hey, what did it say? He may not come when you want to, but he'll be there right on time.
Exactly. That's how it's
So
been my whole life.
so um so I'm a new guy. I got new people listening to the podcast. What would you tell somebody who is interested in joining the Navy?
I would tell them before they go in, uh, if your heart set, you're gonna come into the military. Number that you come in designated. Don't come in undesignated. Have a set job. Have a set plan. You know, and try to find you a mentor, someone you can trust is going to get you through things, because it's
Definitely,
not going to be easy, especially if you're the type of person that's you're a first timer leaving home, new experiences, new people. Surround yourself with people who are positive minded, that are going to guide you in the right direction. Have a set plan.
definitely,
You know,
definitely.
yeah.
How about getting out?
Getting out, I would basically tell them, getting out the transitional period, stick with those mentors, stick with those people, and just do the same thing on the outside if possible, because that transitional period, you got a structured environment in the military. You can practically live off the base, but out in the regular world is different. So you gotta re, re, restructure things,
So,
you
so
know.
Corey, I got a funny story to tell you. So in I get out April 29th, 2008. And so now I'm a storekeeper. So it's funny that you talk about being a storekeeper.
Yeah.
So I worked there. I was a storekeeper for my whole military career. Once I picked up rate in Japan, I was a storekeeper. So I get out, and at this time I'm married to my first wife, and I ended up moving from California to Washington State because I was stationed in Washington State where my first two kids were born. I ended up coming back to North Carolina, and I start all over, and I get a job at the hospital where I'm at today. And my first job is I'm working in the OR materials,
Okay.
and I get there and I start doing the weirdest thing, Corey. So we have these carts in the OR materials that we have to place the supplies in for the next day's surgery. So if you're having surgery tomorrow,
Right.
I build your cart, place it by the door. But I was always kept putting stuff like to hold it in place. So I did this about a month, and I never let stuff fall. And they kept looking at me like, "Man, what is Bernard doing?" Man, I kept securing stuff for C the whole time. It took me about a month. It took me about 2 months to stop securing stuff for C because I was so used to being at C in the various commands prior to getting out
Yeah.
that I just like, oh my gosh, I gotta.
Right. It became normal.
Yes. So
Yep. I definitely understand that. I
they
definitely understand that.
they clown me to the day about it.
That's cool though. It is.
Yeah.
It's actually it's a lot of good habits you can take from the military into regular life. You know, it
Right.
is.
Oh, and you didn't tell me about copays, man.
The copays. Thing copay.
Corey, copays and premiums.
Oh yeah. What like your military ID, your veterans, your medical ID. Like there were certain places I could go where they would. It was like a $16 copay. You know, but the thing about it is that was when I was trying to figure out what was wrong with my back, and I went to a chiropractic doctor, and they had all this stuff on my back. I'm trying to get them to release the information. They wouldn't even release it. I haven't offered to pay them money. They wouldn't even release the information. You know,
Wow. So
I
did
didn't.
you?
Go ahead.
So you always used. So for you, did you always use to milk the VA, or did you use like private practice?
I used the VA most of the time. They would
Okay.
assign me to private doctors like Steinberg, Diagnostics, or whatever like that. There was off people that was affiliated with them where I would go, you know.
Right.
But most of the time it was VA. But I quit working directly with VA. I started going to DAV like right around I think around 2010 to between that area because VA did me dirty. They actually took disability away from me that I got back later. They
Wow.
said my attention deficit disorder improved. At the time, I was 40%. They knocked me down to 20%. And I'm like, and at the time, mom was having problems with jobs. So I had parents' dependency plus my disability. Once they knocked me down to 20%, I lost the parents' dependency, you know?
Wow.
So I'm like, these clowns right here. So that's why like I'm not trying to completely down VA, but I've had some bad experiences with them.
I
You know?
totally understand. Like again, I went to my meeting, man. I was telling you, and I was in the room. I'm a fly on the wall, just checking them out. And unfortunately, and it's sad, and I wish I could say something different. This is not the first time I've heard this.
Yeah.
When I was in that meeting with the veterans, the Black African American Veterans Association, they were saying that they said, and it's funny because I'm in North Carolina and you were in Vegas, and they were saying the same thing that you just said today on the show. That y'all are saying the exact same thing and having the same experience. They talked about going to Dave. They talked about the horrible experiences that they had with the VA, and it's a shame because you put the time in, whether it be 5 years or 2 years, you serve this country.
Right.
And while we were in the Kitty Hawk and we were in Japan and overseas, you know, let a war break out, and guess what? We could have been easily. giving our life for the country. So you put the work in, and it's unfortunate that the VA acts like that, man. I hope they get better.
Right. But yeah, it is what it is. I admire the people I admire the most are the combat veterans, the ones that are out in the front lines. Because I know a lot of those cats get done real dirty. I didn't meet him, but I overheard this guy at the VA office where my main office I go to. This guy's in a wheelchair and he's struggling to get 100% in a wheelchair. That's not right.
No, it's not. You would think that if you are a veteran, you should get anything you want.
Right.
You serve, you put the uniform. Hey, you pass boot camp. Boot camp is hard enough. You pass boot camp, you should get
Right.
something.
Right. But it is what it is. One thing I have learned in my
Right,
personal experience, when you're not active duty, they really don't care about you because you're not doing anything towards them, towards the command, towards the mission of the Navy. It could be something simple as far as cooking or cleaning the floor
right,
or upholstery. I mean, not upholstery, but anything, any type of job on the boat, you know, caters to the service of the military because it's a conglomerate, you know. But when
right.
you're out, when you're back to civilian, I've heard some crazy stories about people who transition to civilian lives and then get no help from the military. There was this guy in Guam heard about there was a big storm over there, wrecked his house all up. He had served for
Oh,
like 35 years and they denied him base housing for him and his family. You know,
he served 35 years
35 years from what I heard
and couldn't get no. The
and
government wouldn't
couldn't
help him at
get base
all.
housing.
Wow, man, so sad,
That's
man.
half of a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, you do 34. That's a most people retire at that age.
Right.
That's a lot, man. All right, so question for you, man. Tell us a good sea story, man. I've been waiting to use this word because usually when I have soldiers on, I have to say war stories.
Right.
So tell my audience a good sea story.
Okay. I was in Sydney, Australia. I came across some guy. I don't remember where I met him, but he invited me to a rugby game. I got to sit in the skybox with him, have some good food. It was a great experience. I wish I would have kept track of that guy, but he invited me into the skybox. I didn't know any of the teams, but it was just a cool experience. I was watching a rugby football game in the skybox in Australia.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep. And then when I was in Thailand, I got to ride an elephant.
wow. So let's talk Thailand. What was your experience like in Thailand, man?
Okay, when we first walking that plank, you walk into a nightclub, a bar. In the middle of a bar, it was a kickboxing ring, and I felt like I was in a movie, you know. And then right past that, you hear the music, boom, 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 bada, boom, 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 bada, boom, 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 bada, boom, 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 and then you see the girls, hey, sexy man. It was like levels. It was like the plank level, the bar level, the kickboxing ring level, and the women level. It was like all, you know, it's crazy, crazy
favorite
experience.
favorite country.
Favorite country, I would have to say, um, Singapore was beautiful. You know, favorite country, scenery wise, I would probably have to go with Australia.
Okay.
You know,
So did you go with us and did you go wait a minute, my dates are jumbled up. When did you go to Australia, man?
when did I go? It had to be around 2000, something
Okay,
like
so
that.
did you go with us? Did you go to what? Did you go with us in '98? Where did we go in
I
'98?
didn't
No.
know. I just got in. My first duty station was in around 98 because I
Okay.
came in November of 97. So no, I didn't go with y'all then.
Okay. I think we went to when I was in Independence, we went to the Gulf for a little bit, and then we came straight back. And I know we stopped in Thailand, and we stopped another place. I think it was Thailand or Hong Kong, right before we came to meet y'all in Hawaii.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah, yeah,
let's
it
see.
was around that time, as
How
far as
was
I remember.
how was Australia for you?
Australia, it was cool. It's just like you really have to watch yourself over there because I was with this one petty officer I worked with in the photo lab named Woods, and we went into this bar, and I'm not knocking anybody's sexual preference, but we ended up going into a gay bar by mistake, and Woods had ordered a drink, and we decided to get on out of there, and
Uh-huh.
as he's walking off, he started feeling funny. He's like, man, I think somebody put something in my drink. So we walking on this side of the street on I think the right side, and then across the street there's this guy that's walking parallel of us, but he keeps looking at us. He's like the Exorcist. He's like this. You know, and I'm like, man, we gotta get it. We gotta get off the block. You know,
Oh man.
you know. It,
Hey,
it,
that is crazy.
yeah, I met this one girl out there. I met her at one of the shopping malls or whatever, and I guess I got the days mixed up or whatever. We
Uh-huh.
were supposed to meet. I think she was a school teacher or something,
Right.
and I talked to her on the phone. She was a nice woman. Just we didn't get to hang out. Plus, I was getting ready to leave soon, so that didn't happen. I met this one taxi cab driver out there. He had retired in Australia, got married, and he told me, it's like I quit dealing with American women. He's like he got him. I don't know what nationality of a woman he had married, but he retired in Australia. Then he was ex-military, and he's living out there. It was
Wow.
a long time ago.
So, did you cross the equator?
Did I ever cross the equator?
You
I
had,
don't
well, you had to. You went to Australia.
Oh, with walk day, we did cross
Yes.
the equator. We sure did walk day. That was the ceremony. I did
Yes.
cross the equator. I sure did.
How was it for you?
That was a different experience. It was fun. Walk day was fun because I remember I was a photographer at the time. I took this real cool picture. I wish I kept it. I got picture of the day. Like as soon as they was announced as shellbacks, it was this big cheer, and the theme of the week was emotion. So when they were graduating to be shellbacks, all these people, it was like dozens of them together of different nationalities or whatnot, and they're all just smiles, yells. It's just a combination. It was beautiful. You
Wow.
know, I wish I still had that picture.
So,
Yep.
if you were the photographer, you didn't get beat up, did you?
No.
You sucked, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Was I supposed to get beat up?
Yes, man. I had to go through it.
So I how did it go? Um, I think I crossed the equator twice because the first time I wasn't a photographer. I went through it.
Okay, so you did go
The
through it.
second,
Okay, okay.
yeah, I
You redeemed
remember that.
yourself.
I went to
Okay.
walk day twice. I sure did. I was in a supply division, and it wasn't no crazy hazing. It was this dude, Petty Officer Peter Neal, and he was having to just say this crazy stuff. Remember that Whitney Houston movie, Bodyguard?
Yeah.
He is like, we had to repeat, "You'll always be my bodyguard," and just crazy
Wow.
stuff. And then like some people was getting peanut butter put in their head and stuff like that. You know, just a bunch of crazy mind games.
Yeah.
You know,
I took peanut butter to the face.
yeah,
I also had to blow the rotten egg out of the pad eye on the top deck of the carrier.
yeah, I enjoy that. I've heard
Yeah.
stories though. I heard a
Yeah.
lot of crazy stories. Some people hated it though. You know, it was this one girl. They took a picture of her, and you could just tell like she's like if it was anywhere she could be, it wouldn't be there. Like she hated it. You know.
I did mine twice. I went to my first command. I went through it with you guys, and then the second time, apparently I didn't have my paperwork with me. So because I wasn't a trustee shellback and I didn't have my paperwork with me, I had to go through it all over again.
Walk. Yep. Yep. I remember that.
but I did. I went through like a champ, and I took it. It was
That was
gross.
a long time ago. Everything ends. It's like you got to go through levels, but it ends on the flight deck.
Yes,
Yep, I
yeah.
remember.
I took it like I took it like a champ, man. You know what's funny? When you go through that stuff, you hate it, but then you look back on it, man. It's like, you know what? It was all part of the territory,
Right.
and I wouldn't trade it for the world, man.
But yeah, you just brought back some memories for me. I actually forgot about Walk Day. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
one more story. One more story. So you mentioned I was looking through the notes. The rapping reverends, man.
The who?
The rap.
The rap. Oh yeah. Oh
Talk to you
yeah.
about it,
We
man.
was
I
in we
laughed so
was in the
hard.
Suki. We was in your room. Taylor and I had to get on our bus to go back to Yokosuka. You know, I don't know exactly what where he was stationed at, but we had to go. So we did a quick rap together. You know, I was about 23 at the time. It was just something that we had slapped together. I was doing more talking than anything, but it just had a cool beat, you know. And that song plays my mind from time to time. What I remember of it, it was just real cool. I wish we could have kept it. There's like everything fit together in the song though, you know.
Down with the hello. Down with the king.
Yeah, down with the
Down with the
king.
king.
Yep, it was cool though. It had a cool beat, you know. The outro
Man,
was dope.
yes.
Yep.
I was telling my wife, man, when I was looking through the notes, man, and I remember doing that song. I think we did it on doing the church service on the Kitty Hawk.
I remember we did that song in your room at Asuki.
Yeah,
Yep.
I thought we performed that song too. Me, you, and Taylor
Did we? Maybe
on,
we
on
did.
on the ship at service.
I remember doing the song. I remember doing it one time. I remember
Yeah,
one take. That's all
and
I
I
remember.
oh my gosh, it was funny. I remember all of us sitting together. One got the beat, one writes some rap songs, and
Yeah,
everybody else put it together. Man, it was such a blast, man.
that was fun though.
Oh
Yep.
man. Well, Corey, hey man, from the bottom of my heart, this has been an interview that I've held dearly to me, man. Because again, you know, my brother, I got a chance finally chance to interview one of my brothers, man, who I've admired, and I've really respected you for a long time, man. And I'm sitting here, and it's an hour and 2 minutes, but I'm cherishing my time with you, man. I don't get a chance to
Oh,
talk to you like that often, so I'm kind of extended out a little bit. So forgive me for going over
no problem.
45 minutes, man. But again, you're my dog, man, and
Same here.
you know, very blessed to be able to talk to you. And for a moment, we've all got problems, problems in life, man. But this right here, man, has been a special moment to me, man. I don't get a chance to talk to you face to face that often.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a
So it's been a
long
blessing,
minute.
man. And you still here, man. I know that you're going through a lot, man. And I'll be praying for you,
Same
and and
here.
and I'll be praying God turn around for you, man. I just need you, man, just to hold on, brother.
I will.
That the Bible says I'm gonna show my preacher side of you. And there's a scripture, man, that I like a lot, man. And it says, Jesus Jesus looks at Paul, man, and if you know there's not Paul, Peter, forgive me. It's
Okay.
10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock here, so my brain is a little
I
foggy.
I understand.
But Jesus looks at Peter, man, and remember, just like you, man, Peter walked with God, man. Peter walked alongside God. I think when you the scripture that I'm about to paraphrase for a second, man, Jesus called Peter. Peter, you my dog, man. I rocks with you. And in the passages, the biblical passage, Peter was on that journey with Jesus. So he saw the power of Jesus. He saw Jesus lay hand on the sick. He saw the miracles. He was in the Garden of Gethsemane, man. He watched Jesus go through all the transitions from taking him to be a fisher of man to making him upon this rock I'll build my church and to being the foundation of it, man. And there's a scripture that I love so much, man. And this is really for my brother, man. He says, Simon Peter, the devil has asked to sift all of us like wheat, to shake our faith, man, to rock us a little bit, to get us discouraged, to put doubt in my head, man. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I'm gonna put depression on you. I'm gonna put all these different things on you, man. I am going to rock your world.
Right.
But Jesus says, he looked at him and said, man, but I prayed for you, man. I prayed for you. Jesus turned around to Peter and said, I prayed for you. Why? So that your faith may not fail, so that you don't give up. And when you have repented or turned to me, I love that passage right there, Kory, because it says, man, that we all make mistakes. We're gonna fumble, man. I might have a drink or two. I,
Right.
I might, I might, I might say a few cuss words because that
Right.
pressure's on me.
Right.
I might not act like my normal Holy Ghost saved, fire baptized person.
Right.
I've got some things in my life I got to deal with because it pressures on me. And Jesus said, I pray for you, Peter, that your faith may not fail. And guess what? And when you've gotten yourself together and you've gotten your blessing, you've gotten your miracle, and that weight off your shoulder, this is my favorite line, man. And this is strengthen your brethren. Go tell Kory, Bernard, you went through your storm, you passed it. Go encourage Kory. Kory, you go find the brother beside you in the next car over. You find somebody outside, the next person that you meet, the next person that person meets. Hey, tell them to hold on. It's gonna be all right, man. And so I close it, and I really say that to you, man. That you're going through that storm, but you will get through that storm. And people are praying for you, man. And when you come through that storm, man, and God move, me and my family are gonna be praying for you, brother. And once God move in your life, man, then you're gonna mess around. You might not talk to me another year. I might catch you on social media, but just know this, man. You're gonna have a testimony, and somebody
Likewise.
can say, "Hey, man, I talked to that dude Kory, man, and Kory told me about the VA, man. He told me about the troubles that he was going through, taking care of a parent and a brother out on drugs and all these different things but he made it. So don't give up, brother."
Likewise. There was this attorney I had to go through to help me out too. You can check him out. I don't
Okay,
have the information. His name is David Anise. He's a disability attorney
okay.
that works out of outside of Arizona. Not only is he a disability attorney, he's also a medical doctor. So he fought for my case. He's one of the cats that helped me get my increases. You know,
What's his
very
name?
David Anise. David David, last name Anise, Anaise. That guy right there is awesome.
And he's a what is he?
He's a disability attorney and a medical doctor,
Okay.
which is huge because he would take the medical he would take the medical evidence you have along with fighting for your disability, and he'll go into court as a medical doctor fighting for your case.
Okay, don't it, man. I'm gonna share that information, and I'm thank you for that, man.
All right.
I wrote it down, man. So we're done, man. Close it out.
Hey, God bless everybody out there. Life is hard, but keep persevering, keep striving, and surround yourself with positive, fun loving people. God bless.
God bless. Appreciate it, man.
God bless. Take care.
All right.
Bye bye.